Hi guys! Today we're gonna learn how to define page section using HTML5 and HTML4. Page section is defined using semantic elements. In HTML5, you have here the header to define the header element. You have the section which defines the general content of the web page. And you have the nav to define the link or navigation bar. And also a side defines the sidebar content, and a footer which also defines the footer. Now HTML4, the div tag is being applied to define the page section. Now when page section is defined properly, it would be easy for us to lay out and apply CSS for the designing. Now this is the HTML5 page sectioning. You have here on top, you have the header. At the below the header is a navigation bar. You have section here at the left and the article at the right, and you have the footer at the bottom. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you will stick on this layout or arrangement of the content. You can have the navigation bar at the left, or the section in the middle, or the article inside the section, or you can have the 3-column layout and also the footer at the bottom. Now the HTML4 page sectioning is done again in the div using the div tag with the help of an ID selector. The ID selector is named according to its purpose. Like for instance, this division is for the header, therefore your ID selector is named as header. And so with the navigation bar, the section, the article, and the footer. Now this is how you implement in HTML5. So the semantic elements, as you can see, are written inside the body tag. While in HTML4, using the div, so this is how div is written with the ID selector, with the corresponding ID selector of each section. So as you can see, there is a hierarchy of elements. So it means to say that inside the element, there are other tags that's being applied in order to define the content of that particular section. For instance, here in the as I mentioned earlier, the header is written in the body or inside the body. And then next is the navigation bar using the nav element or nav semantic element. Then you have the section. In the section, you may have an image. You also have the article. And then you have the footer. Now again, these semantic elements are written inside the body. Now you can apply any of the tags like head tag to define the content, or you can apply also paragraph inside the header, or you can have it in the section or the article or the footer. So for the nav, you're going to apply the anchor tag, or you can also use the list, unordered list there, and then that could only be changed using the CSS. So again, in the section, you can apply paragraph. So meaning to say, in section element, there is a paragraph in it. You can also use H or head tag for the subheader. So what you have seen are just example, sample content rather. Now let's define the CSS. Now, going back to the hierarchy of element, the CSS is written according to the hierarchy of the element. So, example, in the header, you have there the content for the header is H1 with biography of Bob Ross, and you wanted to have a background color of blue. So take note that the element written is body redirected to the header. It means to say that this background color blue is applied in header, and the H1 there redirected for the color white, meaning the the content of H1 will be in color white. So that's how hierarchy of elements is important in applying the CSS or the style rules. So in section, you have H2, and if you wanted to apply background color red, then you have to redirect to section, and then you want apply the width to define the width of that particular section to 20%. And then if you wanted to apply the float left, and take note that the width 20% and the float left and background color red is only apply in the section element. So it doesn't affect to any other section. So the color blue is also applied in the text within that particular section. So this is the code, and this is the hierarchy again. So according to the code, that is the how the hierarchy is written. And we're going again, when you are going to write the CSS, you have to specify in the header, I mean in the element, the hierarchy prior to the style rules.